how can people just think of things like this
and say them.
You know, like, how can people just mean this to hurt somebody? How can people just say something like this? You forget that these people are actually like humans, and they read these things as human beings too.
Yeah. Or what about people that say that short people are wicked?
Yeah.
Or people that say that Africans are known to be thieves and scammers? Like,
The moment you are saying something that, if the roles were reversed, if they say that thing to you, you would not take it, then you are automatically hurting somebody.
exactly.
And that's like the hate speech in it. Like, that's how it makes it a hate speech.
Anybody who has proper home training, proper moral standard, wouldn't just dish out words without thinking. Just to somebody you don't know anything about.
Welcome to the Timeline Show. Hi guys, welcome to today's episode of our Timeline podcast. On today's episode, we'll be discussing hate speech. But before we get into the introduction and everything, I have a big surprise for you guys at the end of this episode. So stick with me to the end. Don't go anywhere so you can be surprised. But now for the introduction, I am Jennifer and I have Precious and Jennifer here with me. These are not my surprises, they're my regulars. Hi Precious.
Hi, Jennifer.
How you guys doing?
Hi, Jennifer.
Well, fine, thank you. I am fine.
Did you guys plan this? Because you guys are looking so good.
I mean, it was a coincidence, but thank you.
Yeah.
She copied me, actually.
Okay.
Nice one.
All right, let's get into it. Hate speech refers to offensive discussions that are, pertaining to a person with their inherent characteristics like their race, their color, where they are from. Now, the United Nations Strategies for Plan and Action will define hate speech as any kind of communication in speech, writing, or behavior that attacks or uses pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person or a group on the basis of who they are. In other words, based on their religion, ethnicity, nationality, race, color, descent, gender, or other identity factors. Now, from this, I like this definition because it covers a lot. Due to the fact that for a while, the United Nations said there was no universal definition of what hate speech is. Because it was like, what speech can be classified as hate speech? What if I denominate it as hateful? Yes. So, but this like completely covers, what hate speech can be all about. It's like all about saying something to somebody because of, the way they look, and meaning it in a way that is meant to discriminate them, is meant to hold like prejudice towards them.
So, I also like to add that hate speech has to do with using abusive words. It's like a cesspool of variables where you use abusive words, offensive languages. The point is that the people you are using these words on, it hurts them. It doesn't go down well with them. And another issue is that, just like you rightly mentioned, we don't know there is no boundary, or will I say, we can't actually pinpoint what hate speech is. So it's peculiar to each person, because what you think is right or what you think is your freedom of opinion can actually hurt the next person.
And I think that freedom of opinion is really has really proven to be like a problem, especially when it comes to hate speech, because people feel like I can say whatever I want to say, as long as I don't think that it is hurtful.
They'll say it's the truth.
Exactly. It is, because it can actually be the truth, but still hurt somebody. Especially if you're doing it with the intention of hurting people. So freedom of speech is even, freedom of speech and expression is one of the reasons, I don't know, to why people, indulge in hate speeches and, saying things that can even incite violence. And hate speech is like a big deal. Like, it is something that has caused so many problems around the world.
And, we can't take, like you said, freedom of speech, we can't take away the fact that people actually need to be able to speak freely. But then, having the intent to hurt somebody, hurt an ethnicity, hurt someone because they are not of the same color as you, is where hate speech now lies in. Because a lot of times, we go like, we look at people, the words we say to each other, the words spread on the internet, and it's like, how can people just think of things like this?
And say them.
Like, how can people just mean this to hurt somebody? How can people just say something like this? And now there are different forms, in which hate speech can be expressed. We have scapegoating. Scapegoating means blaming a particular group of people for societal problems without evidence or justification. Now, it's like, this thing probably happened from where you guys are. But it's not just, everything cannot be blamed on like one particular, but instead everybody there is now like they're being faced for it. Now, for example, during the economic recession in Greece, the immigrants were blamed for the recession. Why? Because they felt there was no jobs available and it was the immigrant that was taking the jobs away from these people. This is like an example of scapegoating. Everybody, they were being labeled as terrorists, they were being labeled as, being lesser and taking the jobs. They were facing a lot of problems.
Yeah,
there.
Even in the COVID-19 period, the pandemic where the Asians were blamed for it. And it caused a lot of problems because that time, if the Asians were so discriminated in the world, they would say, oh, it was Asians that brought about the COVID-19. It was Asians that actually caused it. It is because of how they look that caused it. There were so many derogatory comments about the Asians, and most of these things lead to discrimination in the society, because then they had like no freedom of expression. You would see an Asian say post a video on Instagram, for instance, enjoying, like, having fun, and then you see comments saying, well, it wasn't all you people that brought about the COVID-19. Why are you people having fun? Do you think that you deserve to have fun? Do you think that you deserve the good things of life? Even the Armenians, when they were blaming the Armenians for losing the Ottomans were blaming the Armenians for losing the First World War, and I'm like, there was actually a problem. There's actually a problem. But scapegoating is when people take away the focus from the problem and just say, since we don't know how to solve this problem, let's just blame it on these people.
Okay, so another example would be, or another form of hate speech would be stigmatization. Stigmatization, where we see, just like she mentioned, the COVID-19 thing. You see people talk about the Asians and that they are the reason why the whole COVID-19 pandemic happened. So many countries went as far as banning Asians from coming into their countries, and even up to now, we still have that thing where that stigma attached to them, that you would see people post videos online say they want to go and eat something else that will cause another problem, but this is their culture. This is what they eat in their culture. So but now we are now stigmatizing them, attributing a particular type of thing to them.
Also, we have incitement. Incitement is when you say things or do things particularly with the intention of causing violence. In the society. And this was like largely portrayed in these last concluded elections. Because you would just see that, there were different tribes contesting for the election. As a matter of fact, some people even called it the Wazobia. Because of, the peculiarity in the contestants. And then you would see that most of these ethnic groups, they divided themselves according to the contestants. And then as a result of that, you will see people saying things like, Igbos are doing this, why do they...
Like, you see a lot of comments about different tribes. And I used to wonder, like, how are other tribes that are not being mentioned to? Because it looks as if it's only Igbo, Yoruba, and that are like in Nigeria. But then we have a lot. How are they even feeling about it? That even in the midst of problems, they're not even included. They're not even seen as they should be included in all of this. And then look at stereotyping as another form of hate speech. It means generalizing characteristics or behaviors to a particular person, and it's rampant.
Very.
Like, if you see the way people attach a particular thing to a person,
just tag people.
In fact, let me bring it down to Nigeria. We see it in profiling people. Just by the way you are dressed, or they feel like, oh, you have dreads on. It's like, if they cannot resonate with that thing, it's already a problem. Like, if I am dressed properly, if this is how I am dressed, and I expect every other person to be dressed like this, once you're not dressed like that, then automatically they'll classify you as either being, a criminal or something.
It happened in the NSAS period, where everybody or every guy that had dreads on, they just profile you a cyber criminal. You are a Yahoo boy. You did this. Like, even as little as seeing you with 2 phones, they just say that you are this. Or what about people that say that short people are wicked? Or people that say that Africans are known to be thieves and scammers. Like, all of these can cause so much problem in the world. So hate speech is not just limited to seeing comments on social media talking about, oh, see how your leg is bent or whatever. Hate speech goes beyond that. It can even be expressed, by just giving
facial expressions,
body languages as well, like how you just treat people, even derogatory languages, saying things to dehumanize and demean people,
the N words, all of that, just because they will say it with the intention of hurting you. Do you understand? So, like, when we say like there's no universal definition of hate speech, I personally feel like the moment you are saying something that if the roles were reversed, if they say that thing to you, you would not take it, then you are hurting somebody.
Exactly.
And that's like the hate speech in it. Like that's how it makes it a hate speech.
And another thing is that you really portray the intention behind what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people can say something and they don't really intend to hurt you.
Yeah.
But one of the things we notice with people that engage in hate speech is that the intention, at the very core of their intention, is just that they want to hurt the person.
And something in your body.
If you say something that you don't actually mean to hurt the person with, and the person calls your attention to
you should be able to apologize.
Exactly. So the moment you start like dragging it with them or trying to like tell them that no, you don't mean it this way, just take it down and apologize.
Exactly.
That's where you now see like their true intentions. And the ways hate speech can be expressed, we're looking at verbally. Through like slander, people say words of mouth. It's not even just on like social media, like people actually come to tell you things, people saying a lot, maybe your partner, they're like making derogatory comments at you.
Even slurs, just things to just demean people based off of. And it is very funny that most times it is based off of how people look or how they are dressed. I remember that TikTok influencer, I think last year, that was, she was sent to jail for I think 3 years just for saying something, defaming the character of a popular actress. And I don't know if to say I was happy that happened, because in the video she said a lot. Like she said a lot, and you would think that this person actually knew the actress personally. Because like she said so many things about her, and they were so demeaning and dehumanizing, and they were like a threat to her brand. And then she actually like took legal steps. Also, we even have libel where people write things. Written communications. You can write it on text. People even have group chats. I remember that election period. You just see, I'm on a group chat where we are, planning. we are planning on how to kill this particular, this particular contestant, or planning on how to
defame them, all of that. And during the election, like, I remember when like somebody like walked up to me and told me, would I like to join a group chat? What would I be doing in the group chat? He was like, you just, this particular contestant, all you have to just do is go there and insult people that are supporting them.
Can you
like
imagine?
What's that? Like aside from the fear of my account even being banned, like what is the ideology behind that? You don't like a particular contestant and you're getting people to insult the person. You don't know that this person is a human being. That's one like when people say a lot of like bad things about people, when people like say, target hate comments at people, it's like you forget that these people are actually like humans and they read these things as human beings too.
So we cannot also forget the use of memes and the rest of them.
Absolutely.
Like you can see memes that dehumanize people or stereotype people. They just bring out the meme. Like I think there was this meme that was passing around about black people and stuff. It already shows that whoever is doing this, your intent is just let me hurt this race. Or let me make these people feel bad.
I feel like the thing that makes me think when I see things like this is people actually settle down. Take their time,
their creativity.
Like
how
something
is your
that
can channel
just
into making something that's worthwhile.
You're
using it to shame a particular ethnicity or a particular race or a particular region. And from like what you mentioned about meme and how it was passing around, you cannot deny the speed at which hate speech goes in the internet.
Of course, like the bad news spreads like fire,
like wildfire. Like internet, yes, has a lot of good things, but hate speech has been fueled so bad by the internet because of the low cost. The fact that it just takes one retweet to send it to another part of the world.
You feel like you have a phone, you have your authority.
The anonymity that the internet offers. People just write so many vile things there. And with this, like the application of all of this hate speech on the media, it's now easy for when you search for something, you begin to see more of that thing. You already have like an ideology of that in your head. Like you don't have another opinion. So you see people feeling like, oh, my opinion is what should stand. And when you don't agree with it, automatically they're insulting they're insulting you so bad.
Of course. And then also the algorithms on social media, on the internet basically is also a reason to worry, because when you retweet or you post something that say bashes a particular group of people, you will just start seeing things that relate to that particular thing that you're talking about, and then you just start feeling like you're right. Like you just start feeling like your opinion is the best amongst everything.
I don't think anything has thrived recently on the internet like hate speech. It's as if everybody knows that, everybody's thinking that the best way to make it or the best way to actually be very popular is actually to engage in this, because somehow maybe when you say one or two things maybe again about a popular person in the negative aspects, then
you just get
followers.
Exactly. People want to know what you're saying. I can we're talking about the internet and then hate speech. With all things that's happening with Israeli war and Gaza war, I can remember some videos. At a point, videos were coming online. It was very, very serious. And the Israelis, they were posting videos that they have lights. These guys don't have
lights. Yeah.
They have water. These people don't have water. And like, oh God,
they were even using artificial intelligence to portray these people in a very weird light, like to make them look like slaves.
Yeah.
Exactly. I remember those videos, being posted around.
It shows that it's as if there is no boundary when it comes to what is actually allowed.
Yeah. And this means that hate speech is not just politically inclined. It has to do even what we say to ourselves on social media. Yeah. Cyberbullying, people posting pictures and just receiving the worst comments ever. It's like, you don't even know this person. Yet you're like there, like in the comment section, trying to bring the person down. And sometimes you actually win. Yeah. A lot of them feel bad, they deactivate their account. And then taking it to race, taking it to like ethnicity, a lot of people like feel really like, I don't know if I would say the audacity is just so immeasurable that you just feel like you have a lot to say about somebody. And it's never something nice.
When you probably even have a problem with
I believe that for someone to actually come online and have the guts to say all sorts of things to somebody, something is actually wrong with you.
Yes. To begin with,
because anybody who has a proper home training, proper moral standard, wouldn't just dish out words without thinking. Sure. Just to somebody you don't know anything about.
Keyword.
So you guys have heard it from Jennifer that the moment you are on social media, spreading hate speech, your insecurity is glaring, and it should not be so. But we'll be going on a short break now. When we come back, we'll be discussing more on hate speech. The first season of Timeline is on. The journey so far has been amazing and impactful. The world needs change agents. The world needs me, you, and all of us. Join me on Timeline as we continue to share important information and discuss social issues that would help someone out there. Let's continue to advocate for critical changes on issues affecting our world today. And together, amplify messages that prefer answers to burning questions. Our journey continues as we create awareness and promote shifts in health matters and other social issues that will alleviate personal and communal struggles, guided by international laws and best practices. Join me on Timeline exactly 7 p.m. every Friday on Youth Network's YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and turn on the notification button. You can become an agent of positive change by dropping your comments in any of our episodes as a contributor or as a professional. Join the conversation respectfully. Welcome back to the Timeline podcast. Now let's look at the correlation between hate speech and genocide that has happened in the past. Now the Rwandan genocide that happened in 1994, the story behind it is just so crazy. In 1993, there was a radio broadcast that, the Rwandan government said the people of Tutsi were, not Rwandans, and that Rwanda should defend their country against cockroaches. Like you called on national radio, like this is not even somebody or someone speculating, like the leader announced on TV on radio that they were cockroaches.
That and Tutsi people were cockroaches.
Yeah. And the woman I was giving the story on the United Nations site was like, what do you do to cockroaches?
You kill them.
And that's what happened to them. In 1994, there was like a large, amount of people, a lot of Tutsi people were killed. How does hate speech relate to this? Through the speech he gave on, the radio, you've already put it, because all these leaders, they have like blind followers. They have people that like also feel like, these people are not part of us, and that's so sad because these are actually Rwandans, just that they are of a different ethnicity than you, and you feel that they are cockroaches. Using that on national radio to classify people, human beings that have blood like you, and then inciting people to actually harm them.
You're even saying human beings that have blood like you, human beings that are even one of you.
And
like it
part
is
of your country.
Exactly. I feel like most of these people that even engaged in the genocide probably had little to no idea about maybe if the Tutsi people were cockroaches or whatever. Yeah. But because it was said on national radio
by a leader.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then they probably saw the amount of people that were also in support of that. So even people that don't even feel like, the Tutsi people should die, will feel like if they don't accept that, they too, they will die.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, this Srebrenica, genocide too. Now this has to do with the Bosnian people. They were the Croats, the Serbs, and the Muslim people, and they felt like the Muslim people are not part of them. Yeah. Even with the UN stepping in to help, they still led to a lot of for them separating the boys from the women and killing the boys.
8,000 boys.
Which is sad because hate speech, people people thinking that you're different, now saying it's inciting violence, it stems from that. Like, you're talking about somebody in a derogatory term, you're saying that this person is not part of me. Imagine not liking somebody to the extent that I feel like they should not even be alive.
And you see that most of these stories that have to do with the genocides that happened, in the past, the leaders of, the Srebrenica was always saying that the Bosnian Muslims are not one of us.
Yeah.
And it is mostly, like, I don't know if to even say it is always the leaders.
What was your criteria for
Exactly,
saying
like,
that somebody is not one
lead?
of you?
Exactly.
Are you your own self? Like, are you part of the people?
Exactly. Like, what temerity must you even have for you to say that these people are not part?
Yeah.
Like, what even qualifies them to be
We're not one
part?
of you. What's the distinction?
And this also shows that leadership has a very huge part to play when it comes to
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because this also now reminds me of the Holocaust,
Yeah.
where Adolf Hitler spearheaded the entire massacre of so many Jews.
Yeah.
Like, that's 1941 to 1945.
Yeah.
And you could see the languages they were using, calling Jews vermin, calling them parasites. And these are all
On live TV. Like, it was recorded.
So it shows that the leadership has a very huge role
to play in curtailing
exactly, and this
issue.
led to the death of a lot of people, because we're not just saying that Adolf Hitler mobilized the whole maybe militia or the military to kill people. Even people that were not civilians were also killed.
Yeah, because
Jews.
of what they've heard.
The Jews, yes.
You understand? Like, what has been put on TV a lot of time, that these people are not one of these people are vermin, these people are rodents.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is somebody that I look up to. This is my president or my general,
Yes.
and he thinks these people should not be alive. I'm going to join him in doing that.
And most of the times, these Jews were actually blamed for things that were none of their business.
Yeah.
Like, even things that, we don't have, like, we can't even mention the Jews when it comes to things like this. They were blamed for it because there was already a bias.
Yeah.
Now, let's even talk about the Armenian, the Armenian genocide. The Armenians, they stayed, they were with the Ottoman Empire. They were staying in the Ottoman Empire, and most of the Armenians were Christians. And most of the people in the Ottoman Empire were actually Muslims. So first off, there was already a religious bias, because how can you be staying in our land and you want to practice your own
different religion?
Exactly. So at the beginning part, the leaders were already saying, I don't think I feel comfortable with these people being here, that type of stuff. And then so the Ottoman Empire went to the First World War in collaboration with the Germans, and they lost the war. Guess what, my ladies? They blamed the Armenians that did not,
maybe
that almost
they
did
are
not
worshiping
even
another god that led to it.
Absolutely. They said that it was because they were worshiping another god, because they gave sacrifices and did a lot of rituals in order to win the war, and they did not win the war. So obviously they have to look for somebody to blame.
You went to war, which is actually like wrong. War in its own form is wrong, and then you're blaming somebody else for losing the war, and then it now led to killing them. And it's because you feel like they are the ones, they are worshiping something else, and you're already like, oh no, these people are not part of us because they worship somebody else. Well, where's the joy in diversity? Like do we all think that we will actually like enjoy life if we were all the same? Actually, what's like, there's always, like, they say there's spice in varieties,
spice of life.
So this type of thing, like spreading a lot of hateful comments about people, because they are not of the same religion of you, they are not of the same ethnicity, to the point that you don't think they deserve to like reach the full extent of their rights. They cannot express themselves freely. That's like hate speech. That's like how bad it is, and it has led to a lot of deaths, as we've mentioned.
As a matter of fact, let's even bring it down to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because if it feels like now we're even talking about other people without talking about our people,
country.
What about the civil war that happened between 1967 to 1970? A lot of, like, there was basically ethnic divisions.
Yeah.
They just said, this particular tribe, they are a threat. Igbos living in the northern areas, they said that they were threats to the world. Yeah. And I'm saying not just threats to, say the northerners that they were living with. But they said they were threats to the world, and people had to start running. I remember reading an article, and the man, very old man now, he said, he was alive then, and he was in school. He just came back from class, and he just saw people, what is happening? Yeah. And then he's like, they said, you're not one of us, run. And a lot of people died.
One of us.
That's
such a horrible thing to say. And, the end point of hate speech should always be, violence.
Yeah.
It will always be sadness, low self-esteem. It will lead to deaths. you know, and if it's not curtailed at the right time, at this time, you know, we don't even know what can happen because people are getting creative with their insults
at any time.
Yeah,
exactly. Because this shows how powerful our words are, and how powerful words can, how far they can go. Because I'm just listening as we're talking about all these genocides that happened. It was just words that led to all this massacre of 8,000 boys and the Jews and the rest of them. It only shows that if we don't watch what we say to people or how we engage people, whether it's on the internet or anywhere, there's a problem. Soon.
There's a problem.
And, you know, someone was saying that one of the things that could be, you know, there were rumors of maybe World War III happening sometimes. You would hear them around. Somebody said something that one of the reasons this could happen is because of all this, of the things we say on social media,
of course,
or all those things that somebody can just say something and it will be the spark that we have been waiting for.
This reminds me of one thing I saw when, like, there was, I think when the Russia-Ukraine war started, and then the president said something like he was trying to be in solidarity with either the Russians or the Ukraine. I'm not really sure of that. And then Nigerians were like, please, he's not part of us. So in case people are looking like, he's not part of us at all. Like, this is his own sole decision. Because when the war starts, they'll start picking people that were saying things, and then they'll say, please, he's not even one of us. We don't know where he got this information from.
Yeah, and I think that it is very important to highlight the fact that hate speech can cause a lot in the society, you know, in the nation. But then we must always at, you know, the individual level, watch what we say to people. Like, it doesn't even necessarily, you don't necessarily need to say, I did not talk about it. Doesn't just start with talking about the government. You can talk about somebody that maybe has an influence in the government. You can talk about somebody and then the person just commits suicide.
Even like your neighbor, you talk bad about them. If you can't speak ill about somebody close to you, then there's no telling what you do on social media to where nobody can even trace you.
There are situations or examples of ethnic wars that happen, and it's just that somebody said something to somebody, and then maybe they ended up in a fight, someone died. Next thing, there was a full-blown war, ethnic or tribal war. So these are all the effects of the things we just say without thinking.
And then identity factors, you know, can be linked to most of this, like, hate speech. Now, for example, in terms of, like, nationality, the Japanese American internment, these are Japanese that already have American citizenship. But then due to the Japanese and American war in World War II, they relocated over 120,000 Japanese to camp because they felt like they were revealing the secrets of the country. But, like, they are still seeing race in it. They're still seeing nationality. They're feeling like even though you have the American citizenship, you're still a Japanese. We should not, like, be so.
Exactly.
Like, I might be from Asian descent, but I'm already in your country. The fact that you're still seeing me as someone that will still reveal something else, it says a lot.
And also, color is also an identity factor that you know can be very interwoven with hate speech, because earlier I was talking about how people just segregate and say, Africans are this, the whites are superior, the blacks are thieves. As a matter of fact, I've seen a lot of people lose jobs and businesses
the moment you say you're an African, you don't even see the person again.
Like, you will not see profile picture. Like, I heard of somebody that was, you know, doing an interview with somebody with, you know, an international body, and then they're like, you are black, yes, we know, what country are you from? The moment the guy said Nigeria, he said he even thought it was a network. So, like,
they left the call.
They left the call.
And you know these stereotypes about, like, okay, maybe the black, they're tagging blacks as, you know, less. Even here in the African part of the world, we still see people still feel like, okay, the whites are, like, superior and all of that. Because I remember when somebody was like, he was asking for a raise in the salary, and then he was like, they should increase it, that what he's doing, project management, everything. And you're like, no. And he left the company, and they hired a white person and paid the person ×3 of what he was asking for.
And which is what we are saying in the work sector, because there are many of them that actually happen. Imagine, I was talking to a friend, and then he works in a hospital. So he was giving me an example that they have white doctors and then our normal Nigerian doctors there. So they paid the white people in dollars and then paid the Nigerians in naira. So imagine, so they are segregating by color.
So if you know, if you can see the way this thing, like, if you see the way this thing happens, it shows that even people that are being labeled as minority also, like they also have a role to play in the spreading of this hate speech too, as well as in the way they express it too, in terms of, like, stereotypes and a lot of that. And the United Nations has made, like, a lot of efforts in actually getting to the root of this matter. Like, there are a lot of information about hate speech, how we can handle hate speech. Like, when they launched the United Nations Strategy for Plan and Action, when they actually gave a better definition of hate speech, they spoke about how, they can find out the drivers of this hate speech. What causes it? What, like, is it that the internet is already getting too negative, or what should be done? And they also enhance their efforts to actually get people to, reduce the way in which hate speech is being spread. I mean, a lot of social media apps now have implemented it. Like, when you see something, they just say report, and you see, is it hate speech? Like, they always put it there. Like, and I think it's a very good thing.
Very good one.
Report that account, block it.
I was hearing of a story of an influencer that a lot of people actually reported his account because of the kind of things that he said about the UN, about the United States government, and then they banned his account. Like, they banned him from using those social media platforms for a very long time, and I feel like it's a very nice one.
Yes,
like a very big thumbs up to United
touch
Nations.
Grass, like when you can no longer touch grass, so you can see how the world works.
And I like the fact that they also said that they are not trying to limit speech. They're not trying to limit information or trying to limit people from speaking, because they're even enhancing more speech, so that way they can be able to filter which one is hate speech and which one is not.
And I think we should make more provisions in our legal system for things like this.
Absolutely.
Where if people say things about you online that I don't like, because I've seen it recently, I've seen 1 or 2 cases where people come out, say something bad, like involving hate speech, and then next thing you see, they are being sued. I think that's also a way to curb all this, because at least before I would type something on my phone, I would think twice. How far can this go? How far is how far? How far is how far? That's what you should ask yourself before you actually pick up your phone.
How far is how far?
To type.
And the United Nations also added like all that thing. There's one peculiar thing I liked about it. They said pause. This is how to deal with hate speech. Pause. Because sometimes when we go on social media, you see like somebody, maybe they targeted your tribe. The first thing that comes to your mind will be, let me hit back. And the funny thing is, you may not even insult that person. You're insulting that person's tribe. Hate speech is spreading. So now they're telling you pause. What's this person saying? Like, you try and spread positivity. They said all speech is necessary. Like, for us to tackle hate speech, more speech is needed.
Exactly.
And not just any type of speech. Positive speech. Imagine if somebody writes something about a particular race and everybody in the comment section is just telling you love and light.
Exactly.
Like, everybody just sending you
or
love
bringing
and light.
you out and saying that
like the shame you would feel, you would never ever type such a thing
you
again.
will think twice about it.
Exactly. Also, sensitization and spreading information, education, involving it in the educational sector, even in the sports sector, letting everybody know that hate speech is a big deal. Letting everybody know that hate speech should stop, because it can cause a lot of problems in the world.
We can actually have a social media police. Actually, we should have one. I think it has become a very huge community on its own, where people are comfortably living in it. So if we have people there, then we should have law and order. Not just maybe Instagram censoring some things now. We should have people independent of Instagram, independent of Facebook, but they are monitoring this system so that when they notice that this is happening, then we know what the next legal action to take or the right thing to do about it. So I think it's something that we should actually implement, where we have a social media police. Since we have societies where we have police, military, and the rest of them, it won't be bad if we actually implement this even in the social media.
Thank you guys very much. And now there's this South African philosophy known as the Ubuntu. It's I am because you are. It's just all about spreading kindness, that all of us are interconnected. You cannot just go on social media, or in fact even online, offline, because all of them are all intrinsically woven, and spread hate speech, telling people things that you personally would not even take. That's all about it. The intention matters a lot. And it's very important that we spread love, we spread light, we spread kindness, because whether we like it or not, good and bad will always exist, but it's left for us now to make sure that the good overshadows the bad. And now, guys, this is where we draw the curtains to our conversation today. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platform at Healed Network. I've been having this wonderful educative conversation with
Precious Jacob
and Jennifer Kizito,
and I am Jennifer Egensi. And yes, I've not forgotten. I know I told you guys that I have a surprise for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, the surprise. Hello viewers, it is hard to believe, but this is the final curtain call, the grand finale of the Timeline podcast, season 1. It's been a journey of learning experiences, enlightening discussions, and thought-provoking interviews. And guess what? We've had fun doing it, so much fun. When we started this podcast, our aim was simple: to lead conversations that takes you into the past, brings you into the present and fuel your hope for the future. And you'd agree with me, we've done just that.
This is to send a heartfelt appreciation and gratitude to our amazing audience and to all our guests who made this season a success. Grace, Blessing, and also Jennifer. It has been an amazing ride with all of you.
Hello everyone, my name is Precious Oreva and I've been the assistant videographer for the Timeline show. It's been an amazing ride. Stay tuned for the next season.
Hi, my name is Babalola Oluwakeremonu, preferably known as Soft, and I've been the videographer for Timeline Season 1. See you on the next season.
Hi everyone, my name is Blessing again, and yeah, I've been the production head of the Timeline podcast. As we round up the season, I'm reminded of all of the stress, the joy, the play, the fun, and everything that the season came with. And I am reminded to also acknowledge your ride with us. It's been an amazing one. Well, it's not a goodbye. Season 2 is coming, and I can promise you it's going to be more exciting, more fun, more educative, and yeah, with a lot of surprises on the way. So keep riding with us and stay tuned to Huge Network.